Learn to cook French food. Live to at least 100 years of age. Now, being from Kansas, that's not a huge deal, but I'd like to kind of hit the average at least, and that's kind of the Kansas average. So I'm going to go for 100 years, and you guys can keep checking. Finished that PhD in political science. It's been a while since I was on campus, but I may do that. Number 7. Run for public office. I'm not going to pretend I would do that. Take my grandchildren on the family tree trip. We just did a project with Julian on the family tree. You might be interested. It starts in Fincastle, Virginia, near Roanoke Valley in 1705. We think they were Scotch-Irish. The name has been spelled lots of different ways over the years, but we think it was Scotch-Irish. We head to the mountains of Kentucky, Grassy Creek, Kentucky, which I'm told even in the 60s was unreachable by automobile. You went in on some paths where my grandfather and 6 or 7 generations of Amyx grew up. We'd stop in Lexington and visit Henry Clay's home because he is a relative. As Julian reported in school several days ago, the great compromiser, I believe he was known. We then would end up in the wheat fields of Kansas, where in the 1850s, relatives homesteaded in a covered wagon and lived in a sod for many years before they could afford to build a house. And Mom still owns the wheat farm, so we can go out and visit that. In fact, the limestone for the foundation is still laying on top of the ground, which is a reminder of that tough life that they served. And then finally, the 2 families kind of ended back in Lawrence, Kansas, which is the Kansas basketball and everything KU related sort of problem and habit I have, which carries over. All right, that was a long one. Number 5, inspired by the trumpet player last night in that wonderful band at the host locality night, I'm going to get my trumpet out of the closet. And I would love to be in a dance band to play that trumpet, because I learned to play the trumpet at a very early age and played through high school, but haven't really been back to that. Number 4, visit Italy because of a lifelong interest in architecture. And I think that's the place where one really needs to start to see that. Number 3, and this is a really good one, request a joint session of the General Assembly to share my true feelings on what a workable state-local relationship should be. Number 2, they're getting good. I would love to be a contestant on Dancing with the Stars.
You and Schnecky.
Love to dance. We've danced many years. It's kind of a modified Midwestern shag, as I think as close as you can get on a description. Now, my only concern is if any of you watch the show, at some points when the elimination gets hot and heavy, the guys have to take their shirts off. And that kind of spikes your vote, so I'm unsure whether I'm going to go that far, but I am considering it. Lastly, number 1, I'm going to file a lawsuit against the auto industry for using the invention of self-driving autos that I actually invented in 4th grade. I told Griffin about this a couple of months ago. One of the things I was doing, I normally did football and basketball plays, but I certainly didn't pay attention to the 4th grade teacher. And one day I looked up and my dad, who was a pretty big guy, was perched on one of those little seats in the corner, and the teacher had asked him to come to class to keep an eye on me because she wanted at least one day that I paid attention in 4th grade. But I, in fact, had driven out drawn the diagram and invented the concept, and it's interesting to see now after all those years, we're about to have self-driving automobiles. Well, enough of the top 10, and now you know how at least I'm going to spend the first 6 months of retirement. I want to talk about VML for just a quick second. I started with the 75th anniversary conference in Arlington at the Twin Bridges. You saw that photograph. Gosh, I looked like a rock star, didn't I? It was over about a mile. I think it was torn down 5 or 6 years after we had our conference. It didn't have a long life after that. But now, 33 years later, I can reflect on what has made VML a success. And guess what? It's about all of you and all the folks that have come through the Virginia Municipal League membership. 33 wonderful presidents who've been dedicated to making VML a better organization. Outstanding executive members, and this is just the latest version you have before you today. People who are willing to be creative and involve us statewide in good practices that have worked back in their homes. Hundreds of elected officials. Every election cycle, about a third of you have turned over. So there's been a lot of folks that have been in your seats at the annual banquet over the last 33 years. What has amazed me is all of you have contributed so much to your communities. Your fingerprints are all over the accomplishments of the things that have happened back in your communities. You're always looking for ways to make things better, make for a more enjoyable experience for your citizens. And I really, really admire that. As I've told the staff, it's been a joy to come to work for a group of folks as nice and positive and forward-thinking as you have been all these different years. Finally, you mix in an outstanding staff. And I mentioned today at the business meeting how many years have been logged by our staff members, and it's amazingly dedicated staff. And we also have a little bit of an alumni group, which have been in evidence over the last couple of days and may be here this evening as well, that have gone on to do bigger and better things. It's been a great ride, a wonderful professional opportunity, and I'm expecting bigger and better things with Kim's leadership from VML in future years, and Lynn and I will be cheering for you in the sidelines. Probably won't be able to get to the General Assembly after I make that speech to the joint body, but we'll still be following what you do. And thanks so much for giving us the opportunity to serve you. Another very nice thing for the mantle. Let me get through the bubble wrap. You have to assemble this, which I'm not. Very good. Looks like wonderful with a seal, bookends. Beautiful raspberry, very attractive. Thanks so much. That's a good one.